The darkness of the night hung heavily over the winding highway, shrouding it in an eerie silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hum of tires on asphalt. The moon, a pale sliver in the cloudy sky, cast a faint glow on the deserted road. This highway had always been notorious for its unsettling aura, a place where strange occurrences were whispered about in hushed tones. And on this particular night, a group of friends was about to become entangled in a nightmare they could never have imagined. For friends, each in their mid-20s, set out on a road trip, seeking adventure and a break from the monotony of their daily lives. Their decision to embark on this journey was impulsive, driven by the desire to escape from the pressures of adulthood. They had packed their bags, fueled their car, and left behind their mundane lives for the promise of the unknown. The friends Chris, Alex, Sam, and Morgan had been inseparable since their college days. They shared secrets, dreams, and countless memories together. This road trip was supposed to be another chapter in their book of unforgettable experiences. Little did they know that it would become a chapter they'd wish they could erase. As they drove down the highway, their laughter echoed in the car, breaking the silence of the night. The road seemed never-ending, twisting and turning through dense woods that felt like they were closing in on them. Occasional glimpses of eerie shadows seemed to dart across the road, but they dismissed them as tricks of the imagination. The car's headlights cut through the darkness like a beacon of hope, revealing a seemingly endless expanse of asphalt. They were making good progress until they came upon a fork in the road. The GPS had died. Their cell phone signals were non-existent, and there were no road signs to guide them. With no clear direction, they decided to take the left fork, hoping it would lead them to civilization. But as they continued down the desolate road, the sense of unease grew. The road seemed to narrow, the trees crowding in on both sides as if they were being swallowed by the forest itself. The atmosphere inside the car had shifted from jovial to tense. The friends exchanged worried glances, but none of them wanted to admit that they were lost. They kept driving, hoping to find a way out of this labyrinthine nightmare. Minutes turned into hours, and the darkness outside seemed to deepen, making it increasingly difficult to see anything beyond the reach of the headlights. That's when they heard it, a soft, distant whispering, like voices carried on the wind. Chris, who was driving, slowed down the car, and they strained to listen. The whispers grew louder, and they could now make out words, though the voices seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Leave. Turn back. Go home. The voices murmured. The friends exchanged terrified glances. They couldn't see anyone on the road, and the voices seemed to emanate from the very air around them. Panic began to take hold as they contemplated their situation. Sam was the first to speak up. "We need to turn back," he said, his voice quivering. Alex and Morgan nodded in agreement, but Chris hesitated. He didn't want to admit defeat, but the fear in his friend's eyes was impossible to ignore. Reluctantly, he made a U-turn, and they began retracing their path. But as they drove back the way they had come, the road seemed to stretch out endlessly, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. The friends could feel an unseen presence closing in on them, and their hearts pounded in terror. They were trapped in a nightmare with no way out. Suddenly, the car's engine sputtered and died, plunging them into darkness. Chris desperately tried to restart it, but it remained stubbornly silent. Panic gripped them as the whispers grew louder and more frantic, as if urging them to leave the car. In their desperation, they decided to abandon the vehicle and continue on foot. They grabbed their bags and stumbled out into the cold night, leaving the car behind. The whispers seemed to follow them, surrounding them like a malevolent force. The forest closed in around them, and they realized they were no longer on a road, but in the midst of a dense, foreboding woods. They walked for what felt like hours, their sense of time and direction completely skewed. The moon had disappeared behind thick clouds, and they had nothing to guide them but the pale glow of their flashlights. The forest seemed to warp and shift, the trees taking on grotesque shapes that seemed to leer at them from the shadows.